Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
It's that time of week. It's the Techknowledgy Show where we translate geek into regular speak almost every week, and I have to do it all by myself because my partner in crime is having his, what did he call it? A honeymooniversary. It's a made-up word because that's what we do on the show. Aryeh, Marcia, congratulations on making the 1 year mark. I don't think he stepped on the couch yet either, so he's really done well. So he's not here, and then I was going to substitute the A with the other A as in Angela, and she's just dropped me last minute. So what I'm going to do is really change things around. This is the first time I'm recording in this time slot, not that you would know because it's a podcast. I have Mahan. Hello, Mahan.
Hey.
Oh, there we go. He's more talkative than Cameron. So I have a new sound engineer. I have no co-host. I have two guests who are actually going to be App of the Week as well. So the whole show's just gone in his head. So no formats, no rules, no segments, no nothing. Just really good chat. So I'm actually going to bring you guys straight in now. So I've got Tim and Silje from GetReminded.com or just Get Reminded.
GetReminded.com.
GetReminded.com.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
All right. So Silje has confessed that she hasn't listened to my show. Tim has every show downloaded. It's on his favorites and first up on iTunes. We have a sliding door in the studio. We normally push guests outside when they haven't listened to my show. But I'm not going to do that to you today.
You'll be on my favorite list now.
Oh, there we go. So welcome to the show, guys. For the listeners, normally, as I said, we talk rubbish about weather. So I've talked about honeymoon anniversaries instead. And App of the Week and then Guest of the Week at the end. But I'm really going to combine it because these guys tick both boxes. I always find it best if people introduce what they do themselves. So Tim or Silje, take it away. What is Get Reminded?
Thanks, Brett. Get Reminded is a free app on the Apple and
Hold on a sec.
Android.
Free, like that. Yep.
Go for it. Okay. Magic word, I didn't
Magic
realize.
word is free,
okay.
yep.
I'll bring it back in later.
Free app on Android and iOS.
Android, iOS. And the idea behind Get Reminded is very simple. We all lead busy lives, and a lot of us have contracts that expire in the future at some point, and they're personal contracts such as your mobile phone plan, your energy contract. And then there's documents like your passport and car rego. In fact, the more we investigated this, the more we turned up. And they expire or they roll over at some point in the future. And if you don't take some sort of action to choose a new provider, get a better deal, then you could end up paying more.
Yep.
So Get Reminded is a reminder app. You set up the expiry dates for those contracts and policies and documents, and we'll remind you through an email or in the app. And in that reminder, we'll deliver you a sort of message that there's an offer from another potential service provider. So if you want to go shopping for a better deal, you can. It's easy from the app. And hopefully you'll save a few dollars and your life will feel like it's a little bit more in control.
So I'm going to jump in there. And the reason why we delayed having you guys on the show until now is because the app is new. And I think I'm looking at Silje. That's kind of God's in Jewel space, which helps me tick that box. And when we were chatting, Tim, you said to me it was coming out. So I joined when it was just the website. I don't mean just like it was just our website. You only had the website. I think that's right, a better word.
Started with that.
And, people go, it's a reminder app. And I was thinking when you told me it's something to remind me, I can't tell you how valuable that is. I've already spent time now putting stuff in to my, my page or my reminder system. And you mentioned about the rollover, and I want to talk about that a bit more. I got screwed by a telco for that. So you sign a 24-month contract. The 24 months comes up. No one tells you. I think you get a little reminder or an email saying you're eligible for an upgrade. In fact, it might even be in a text. I don't think I even got an email. You're eligible for an upgrade. I won't throw the provider under the bus, but basically you don't do anything about it, and next minute you're just paying, and you're paying legacy. But more importantly, I was paying the same amount of money for a handset, because I had a handset as well, that I'd already paid off. Now, what happened to 24 months being 24 months and then it terminates, right? So this was a great idea from your side. We need to go back a little bit more because I love stories. There's a third business partner who couldn't make it today, David.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, you have to tell the story, because this is talk radio, of how David comes into the mix. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really funny story. David, who should have been here, actually, he's...
we miss you, Dave.
He was driving Uber as a way for him to get his income, I guess. And he picked up first Tim, wasn't it? And started chatting, and you guys sort of came up with this idea. And about a year later, I met David in Uber as well. And he was driving me
It's like carpool karaoke, right? I mean, we need the three of you in there together now.
Carpool startup.
Yeah, there we go.
And so he was really the guy who got us all together. I was on my way to a friend on a Saturday night to have a glass of wine, and David drove me and we started chatting. He's very outgoing, and he asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm a UX professional and a web designer. And he said, oh, great, I'm looking for a web designer. And at first I thought, that's a bit strange that Uber driver, wants to work with you. So, he seemed really genuine. So I gave him my email and...
okay, so there's the first mistake. I've met David. I wouldn't have given David my... mind you, email's safe. You didn't give him your phone number, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
no, he
cool.
had my phone number.
Oh, there we go. He's got on the app anyway.
That's right.
So, he then emailed me. No, Tim, you emailed me. And then, we met up and...
Yeah, and David contacted me and said, I've met our third business partner, like that night. He said, she's great, she's going to be fantastic because, the design and UX side of the business as we were working up towards building our first website was a critical part, and we just hadn't solved that problem as to how we were going to do it.
I love these stories.
It was just serendipitous to meet Silje, serendipitous for me to meet David under kind of unusual circumstances as well. And the rest, as they say, is history. Although we're still to write the history, we're still very early on in life.
But I mean, I think for the memoirs, when you guys become one of the next unicorns that are floating around the APAC region, what I learned from this, and I've met David. I had coffee with David a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, he is that genuine guy, And I'm just thinking now, I think I'm going to start driving Ubers at night. I don't mind making a bit extra bucks, but because you could meet so many opportune people. I mean, imagine like driving and Elon Musk gets into your Uber because he uses an Uber, right? I mean, I assume.
Yeah, it's a great
everyone
way to
uses,
meet people.
We
it's
have
a great
had
way
that experience, not with an Elon Musk, but certainly with some relatively high-profile
when you do the
business people.
carpool.
David has, quite literally, David is our... he's like our researcher because he's tested the concept. Well, he's tested this concept on almost every passenger he's had, and he's spoken to more people than we could have afforded in sort of research, for argument's sake. And that's helped to validate the whole business idea as well, because not a single person has said to us, bad idea, don't do it. So that's been a valuable kind of input that David's brought to the table, not only bringing us together as a three co-founders, but also talking to customers. And I think there's a little bit of a valuable lesson in the world of business there as well, that if you're a business owner and you're not talking to your customers and you don't understand exactly what they want and how their needs are changing, because what they wanted yesterday, may be different today and
100%.
tomorrow. So David's a great advocate for, what our users, customers have wanted out of the GetReminded app. So he brings that to the table, and whilst we can take advantage of his connection there, we've certainly been able to leverage it into how we've built this business.
That sounds good. Now, I don't want to blur this discussion into the app as well, because I do want to talk about the app almost separately. But the fact that you referenced the app, are you going to sunset the web page, or is the web page still an important part? Because I mean, obviously, the real estate on a big screen versus what you can do on a small screen, and I'm now leaning towards the commercial side. Every free app has a price, and we've discussed this on the show. You wouldn't know this because you don't listen to the show, but you've got 39 episodes to go back and listen to, so there's your week taken care of. But basically, I've always said I don't mind advertising as long as it's relevant. And I also fully understand that advertising needs to be there to help pay for things that are free. But I haven't seen adverts on the app, and I haven't seen adverts on the website. So this begs the question as to the commercialization. You started talking about suppliers, but I think let's unpack that a bit more, because you don't want people to think, oh shit, I'm now going to get bombarded by that little guy phoning me from Origin Electricity every 2 seconds.
Not at all.
So I think let's clarify that, because I think your model, you explained it to me, was also quite interesting.
Yeah, well, look, we've built the technology ourselves. We haven't relied on third-party software or
which is also unique.
Mobile app, programmatic advertising, etc. The back end that we've built actually will populate the advertising. We've limited it to 3 advertisements per reminder, and we control that. So you're right to say that there's no commercial advertising, sponsored messaging in the app right now.
This is the thing for the listeners. Don't try and chase the dollars first. Get the product right.
We want the product
and
the users are obviously our most important asset. So we have created it for the user, and we think that the fact that it's a relevant and timely ad, it's something that you actually need at that point in time. And that's might be a real help for the users.
So back to my question on the website. Are you sunsetting the website, or is the website always going to be an integral part? So you can sign up via the website and it automatically ports you across to the app, like Correct. It did in my case when I downloaded the app. Is the app, and maybe I should be looking at you, Silje, being the designer and the person that influences the UI UX, which we'll unpack a bit further just now. And in fact, I haven't had a UI UX person on the show. So given that my co-hosts have both left me down on a Monday, we can talk about UI and UX. But given the fact that you now have to maintain 2 environments, because the real estate, a lot of people make the mistake of designing responsive. So just to unpack that again, when a website shrinks and changes depending on the size of the screen, that's a responsive site.
We started out with a responsive site,
which most people would, right? But now you're going to take the choice. Have you made the decision to keep the web as a separate standalone maintained product, or is it all going to be integrated? Because the app is very different to the website.
Yeah, well, we are keeping the website, and I think it's a little bit learning by going. We did see that some users, they use the app, it's convenient, but when it comes to all these things that we talked about, your mobile contracts, your energy contracts, your insurances, those are things that you sometimes sit down at home, you have to go through some papers, you might have to go through your inbox, and that's why it's quite useful to have it on the desktop as well. So you might be at home in front of your computer at home. So it depends on the usage of when people are using it, and that's stuff that we need to learn as we go to see what times a day and what feedback we get from users on that. When it comes to the consistency between the app and the website, the website is now lagging behind a little bit, but we hope to keep that,
But most people will move to app once they know, and your call to action's there as well.
Yeah. Our most important product right now is the app, and that's what we want people to use. But the convenience is there for using desktop as well.
The other point to make in the difference between the app and the website is the app at the moment is only available in the Australian App Store and the Australian Google Play Store, whereas the website is global.
Okay.
And through sort of various means, some people from offshore have found us and set up reminders. We do have international intentions, so that's not
as
a bad
you would
thing.
Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, we can make it local, but we want to go global.
There is nothing like what we have in the world.
Yeah,
this is unique. There are similar things that kind of overlap what we do, but there's nothing designed, built, and intended the way that we've created GetReminded, and we think we can take this model. We've got the technology. We just need to launch in another market. We don't need to do anything to the core tech platform. So we're imminently
it's a quick
scalable.
tweak. Well, I was going to talk about that. Let's use South Africa for example, because my accent kind of gives me away.
We're going there.
We don't have Rego, right? And our registration is still paper and so on. So you would have to tweak. But I mean, it's a back end tweak to make that work. But just for the listeners' sake, to show how easy it is, because this is what really impressed me. I drive a Hunter scooter. I went to get reminded. I started my registration process. There is only about 300 Hunter scooters in the country, or 200. I don't even know how unique I still am. Shout out to Luke and the boys at Hunter. So I reached out to Tim and I was like, Tim, I can't do a rego for my motorbike because it's not there. I think within a day it was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent you a mail or a message. You sent me a mail or message back saying, is it Hunter or Hunted? You'd found that there were 2 descriptors. I think they're both there now.
They're both
just
there.
to cover those that are confused.
Yeah.
Because one's a holding company, the one's the actual model. And yeah, my rego is now there. So the ability to scale, I agree with you 100% that global won't be an issue. I mean, when you go to the States, there they've got, okay, no one understands the States, but they even drive on the wrong side of the road. But, the fact that you can change it on the back end, on the fly, that's what for me still makes an appeal with web.
Yeah.
Now I want to move to the app, because I must say it definitely would have made my app of the week, and I always choose the app of the week, much to Aryeh's disgust. Every now and then I throw him a bone. He's come up with a couple of doozies, but yeah, and I feel bad talking about the guy when he's not here, but anyway, it's true. I can't, it's like sacred to me. I say to him, okay, you can choose the app of the week this week. He goes, oh well, that's nice of you, but I know he would have agreed with the app of the week, because the things that I look for, first and foremost, UI and UX. It has to appeal to me. It has to look like someone actually sat down and thought about it. Tick. Okay. And 2, it has to flow. I don't have to think when I use an app. There's nothing worse than thinking about how to use an app. Then it's not intuitive. So I have to give you guys full marks on that. And I'm looking at Silje, because I know this has been your influence.
Full marks to Silje for
that. It's an app about reminding. I open the app, it goes upcoming reminders, current reminder. It's just so it's, in fact, I lie. It starts off with a countdown to my next reminder. It says you've got 200 and something days to go until your next reminder. That's what I want. Quick, simple, done, boom.
And
so
that was
well
a
done.
great little idea from David about creating that kind of, we call it kind of pressure point, where you can say to someone, the reminder's 200 days, 100 days.
Well, it's like
the
now we've got the
50
text
days,
doing
10 days, and you go, oh, okay. And it actually changes colour in the app too, that little
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't gone that
over,
bad. Okay.
To red when it's down within
that's brilliant.
within 60 days. So yeah, we've
Okay,
built
so I should have had my ATO filing, because it would have been like red with sirens going, because I think it's 2 days and I still haven't done it yet.
There's some little subtleties in the design.
We did some testing, obviously, and that's my background. I've done a lot of user experience testing, so everything from lab testing to just what we call guerrilla testing, where you go out on the street and put the product in front of people. And we've done a fair amount of that, because for us, time and money has been a constraint. So we've walked around the office and asked for feedback and looked at people using it, and that's how you learn how.
It's the best way to do it. Mahan, have you downloaded the app yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, dude, we've been on the show for 18 minutes. I'm ranting and raving here about how awesome it is. We'll send you the link. Do you have any idea how many people have engaged so far? Is it something you do want to say, don't want to say? I mean, I know it's new, so I'm not judging. I'm just, because you haven't actually actively marketed.
No, we haven't.
This is a bootstrap. You guys have done yourself. We started in an Uber. Okay, you've built everything yourself. No, these are compliments. It's so easy to go to PhoneGap or to go to offshore somewhere and just get something built. And, I did a keynote the other day. In fact, Tim, that's where you and I met, was through speaking and those type of things. And someone said something that was very profound. You can send something offshore and you'll get what they give you, not necessarily what you ask. So the fact that you've done it yourself that's expensive and it's commendable, but unfortunately everything in life comes with a sacrifice. There is only so many dollars, so if you spend on your own and you don't have the time to market, and hopefully the show will get us some more users as well. But do you have any idea of what the uptake is? I mean, have you looked at it? Is it something you're tracking? It's something you don't really care about?
We are tracking it, yeah, of course, but at the moment it's it's a figure that and numbers that we're still just keeping to ourselves because
100%,
we're
no
just
worries.
waiting to.
The thing is, are you seeing the growth though?
Yeah, we are.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
And we are putting some efforts into, App Store optimizations and Play Store optimizations.
Does that sit with you, or is that?
No, we've hired someone to do
we're
that.
outsourcing.
We know where our skill sets are. So for that one, we talk to someone who will help us.
The new careers of this modern world. I'm
That's
an
right,
App
yeah.
Store optimizer.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? I make apps rise to the top. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
That's
there's things
true.
like that. Well, I
Literally,
mean,
yeah.
there's millions of apps, as you know. So
Billions.
we're billions. So we're a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
And
that's where it's hard, right? I mean, that's it's frustrating. It's a labor of love. You're sitting on the, I used to always say you can build the best damn thing in the world. If no one knows about it, it's useless, right?
Yeah, I mean,
But
marketing is crucial for us. But yeah, we will get there. We've been live for 3 weeks now. So
is it only 3 weeks?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
about maybe
that's
it is a
new,
month.
huh?
But
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so we will learn and grow and.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. I don't know about the Google Play Store because I don't really know how it works because I don't have an Android. But I will predict you guys will be in the top 50 on the Australian store in iTunes. I can't say when, but I do think that you will get there because it's functional, it's practical, it's easy, it's really good looking app. As long as the commercialization of it doesn't get in the way, which I don't think it will listen to. And I've met all three of you. So let's talk about UI and UX.
Thank you.
Awesome.
No, pleasure. And when that
Appreciate
happens,
I
expect you to tag me and I'm going to say, remember episode 39? That was it. Or 38 or whatever we're on. Let's talk about UI and UX, user interface, user experience. Okay. So many people get this wrong. I've run and owned design agencies my entire life. And there's only a handful of people I still work with because they got it right. So basically, where do you start? I'm asking you now as a UI UX designer. We're not talking about GetRemind as an app. We're continuing the conversation of the show.
Yeah.
Because I have no other host to bounce off.
Oh, that's great.
When you sit down with a piece of paper and a pen or Photoshop or whatever it is, whatever your tools, and you please tell us which your tool of choice is, the serviette. Do you start on the UI? Do you start on the UX? Is it something that you do together? I've actually never had this discussion. So,
well, I usually start with the UX.
Okay.
And
so this
I
is the
start
user
with,
experience.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer.
Yeah, you do, and you start sketching out how you think you'd like the experience to be, and it's hard to start. For me, it's hard to start with a UI, but definitely. You start with sort of, you're solving a problem for a person, and it is hard because we're talking about human behavior here. So it's very hard for me to predict how everyone would interact with an interface. So you start with that, and then as early as possible, you put it in front of people, and there's lots of tools out there to create very sort of what we called low fidelity prototypes that you can put on the phone, and that's what we started with. We had some sketches pretty much on a phone to see how the flow works.
So is this where the wireframing comes into it?
Yeah, and that's, you can call it a prototype, you can call it a wireframe, but it's very sort of low, and it doesn't have all the nice shiny parts to it.
Yeah, so let's unpack that further. So you have your frame. So for those that don't know, those are the blocks with the lines that go from here, you go there. And when you put that together to show people, there's no graphic interface, right? There's no color. Is it just blocks and squares?
No,
the people don't ever get to see the side of design. I mean, they look at the finished product.
Yeah, because you are looking for the interaction and the flow. And, of course, UI plays a big part to that. So that's why sometimes you go from a very low end, low fidelity, very sort of black and white boxes to a little bit more colors, and then in the end you test on all the stages, and then in the end you have the final design. But it's not really connected to a full working backend. So then the last testing that we did on GetReminded was with the finished design, but not really a working backend. So not all the buttons were working the right way. So you gradually work your way there, and then you learn on every stage. And what's most important is that, for example, like an app, it's really, you know, if you look at all the screens, you've made all your screens, you know how it's going to go from A to B. But before you've actually put it on the mobile screen and tried to interact it with yourself, it's really hard to predict how that's going to work. So, you know, I find it so useful to get it onto the screen with the prototype and interact with it and look at people interact with it. And then you go, of course, that doesn't work at all. Because, you know.
Now, on that note, there's 3 of you as partners, okay? Do you keep it to yourself? Is a UX designer a selfish person? I hear Tim laughing. And again, you know, I've always wondered this because I've got 2 types of designers that I work with. And the one designer, she is super fast. And it's as if she's inside my head. She knows what I'm looking for. The other designer, I have to basically throttle. But when I get what I want out of him, it's awesome. Are you selfish? I mean, do you sit there? Is it personal? You know?
No, and I feel, for me as a user experience professional, you can't take things personal, because it's really important to put your ego away, because in the end of the day, it's about the users and how they're going to use the product. Yeah. So, for example, when David a month ago discovered some issue, and he asked me, what's going on here? And you immediately want to go, it's because you're doing it wrong, you're supposed to press here. And then you catch yourself and you go, no, if he doesn't get it, then a lot of other people won't get it. Yep. And that's not, you're not there to tell them how they're going to use it. So you really then, have to take what he experienced and go and improve it. And
does that bring the interface into it as well? Because, you've just said, like, if David didn't realize to push there, then it's not a good experience. But that does kind of blow us across into the interface side as well.
It does a little bit.
And this is my bugbear with apps, is that I've seen some really beautiful apps, and I talk about it every week. I love apps. I mean, if you look at my phone, I've used up all my screens. I've had to create folders to put stuff in to make more room. And I actually know where all my stuff is. The point that I'm making, though, is that, and that's why I asked if you're selfish, is that a lot of people design and think, it's logical. It's not logical. You got so many different people, and of course old people as well. Why are you laughing at me?
No, well, I've had old people say to me, I don't use an app, okay. And that's why the website also plays another role, And
that's what I was getting to, right?
If you're not into apps for whatever reason, and that's fine.
I mean, let's talk about Uber, where you all met, right? Mm. I've got a cousin who's, she's late 80s. Her daughters literally bought her phone and wiped everything off the phone and left just the Uber app. So she doesn't have to try and navigate, because that swiping left and right, and I'm not talking about Tinder, I'm just talking about finding the app.
Yeah.
Even that's a challenge for her. She can't work on a computer. So, and unfortunately the world that we live in, it's now digital or die. So, no, but it is. It's digital or die. So, when you sit there and you go, it wasn't logical for David to do that. What do you do then? So what happens at that moment? Because you've obviously gone down hours of design and journey. Because if you change one thing, it's like Lego, right? You can't just take a piece out and the rest of it's there. How do you correct that?
In that case, it was more it wasn't a massive sort of back-end change for the app. It's usually at that point, it's often very small things. It could be asking that question before the other question, or you move the form fields around, because it just makes more sense to ask for your name before your postcode, or, because that's what people are used to when they fill in a form. So it doesn't always have to be major changes. It's usually quite small tweaks.
That's the other thing you're going to have to do when you go to America, is switch the date and month around.
Correct,
Drives me mad.
But I'll let you in on a little secret too. We had a function in our first version of the app that allowed the user to preset an expiry date forward from the date you're actually using it. So 6 months, 12 months, just say, simple, quick. Now, we're all kind of used to shortcuts and those sorts of things. We actually found that confused people. So we took it out altogether. We might bring it back later.
I actually quite like that, but I can see what you're saying about the confusion again.
In the setup process is where that was, and we've removed it for now, but we'll revisit it later. But they're the sorts of things in a UX. We actually built it and then discovered in some first versions of the app that it wasn't getting used and confusing people.
I'll give you another example. Apple. So I'm a fanboy. If you'd listen to the shows, so I'm going to keep having a go at you about this. If you'd listen to shows, you'd know I am the true version of a fanboy. I know I'm owned by Apple. I know that I belong to Apple, and I know that it's going to be basically impossible for me to ever leave Apple because I have the watch, TV, pad, Mac, MacBook, iMac, any other thing you want, McDonald's. But basically, I'll eat McDonald's over Burger King because it starts with Mac.
No.
But, no, not that bad. But they made a terrible, terrible mistake. They never had a back button. Only, I think, iOS 9 or maybe 10, the back button, little arrow in the top left-hand corner appeared. You could go back to mail. And in fact, in typical Apple fashion, instead of saying, sorry, we screwed up, they go, we've just put this new feature in. Oh, we have just put this new feature in. We don't just put an arrow, we take you back to the app. And everyone's like, oh, brilliant. It's like that Aldi advert. Have you seen for points? When they all stand there getting points.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and all the fanboys go, oh, that's brilliant. Instead of a back button, I go back to where I was. Well, that's what a freaking back button does. It goes back. But we all bought it and we all drank the Kool-Aid and go, oh, look at that. Android just has a back button. iOS has a back to app where you were button. So, you know, that's also where I'm so critical on that user experience and that user interface, is that you have to sit and think about the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
It was actually at one of the events as well. The guy was saying that if you ever pitch to me and my 80-year-old mother doesn't understand what you're doing, we're done. It's finished.
Yeah.
And there's
That's
the
a pretty high bar, an 80-year-old mother. I mean...
But, okay, so he sells yogurt. It was the marketing director of Chobani.
Okay.
He was talking at one of the events, and he put a picture of his mum up, and he goes, that's my mum.
Yeah.
He was doing the PowerPoint thing, and he was going, if you ever come in to pitch something to me... and
But food related.
No. Well, it would be an app as well. And he actually introduced, I think, his head of social onto the stage as well. And I remember this clearly, because the way she was speaking as well, she was unpacking everything that there would be no miscommunication. So he was saying that in this digital world, where we're connected the whole time, where things are doing what they're supposed to be doing, explain to the lowest common denominator. And guys, when you go to the States, because you will go to the States, there is a lot of low common denominator there.
That's
I
true.
mean,
That's true.
You know, they
Look,
really...
I think in marketing, you can get a little bit carried away that you must be all things to all people as well. And I would only sort of temper what that fellow said about his mum, and, you know, good luck to her. Your product, service, whatever, it's not going to appeal to every single person on the planet. Right. So, you know, it's a bit of a hard benchmark to say if my mum doesn't like it or what have you. We realise that not everyone is going to want or need or use our app. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're in a business, so we're hoping we achieve a certain number that we think is a viable number for this to be, you know, a commercial success. And, you know, top 50 on the App Store in Australia
it's coming.
would achieve that. And that'd be awesome. So, you know, but we want to make it as good as we can so people who, you know, there'll be people who, like you, Brett, who've said this is great and I've got it and I'm using it. We want to also appeal to the people who are going, maybe will I or won't I?
Is there a chance for them to communicate with you?
Yeah, who say, oh, actually, this is actually really good and simple. And they've got other apps on their phone. They don't have hundreds. They've just got the ones that are really useful. It might be their public transport app, or it might be their, app for a local community or something. But they see this as actually worthwhile in their life. So we're doing our best to make this an app that, you know, appeals to as many people as possible. But we get it that we're not going to appeal to everyone.
It's a good thing if someone like the 80-year-old grandmother can use your app, but I think
she could though on yours, because yours is simple enough to do, and that's what I was getting to. It's like set reminder, get reminded. I don't have to jump through the hoops. I don't have to. And in fact, if I remember correctly, even the demographics that you took from me, which I understand why, They weren't that hard. It was a name, phone number, email. It wasn't like you asked me for...
Not even phone. No.
It wasn't phone, it was just email.
No phone. Name and email,
Yeah.
and then, the reminder information, which is who your provider is.
And that was also pre-populated.
Locality.
So that's what I'm saying.
choose.
It was pre-populated. A lot of the stuff was pre-populated.
You just choose from a drop-down list. Yeah.
So I think the 80-year-olds will be able to get... We'll put them to the test. I want to spin off to at least one of the things that I always do, and I haven't done a screens with a Z for a long time. Han, you're going to have to listen to my sound effects and go, screens with a Z or Z. I can say Z because Aryeh is not here. I had the privilege of playing with the Alcatel 3T. Now I'm going to just... You guys can actually hear about it. It's a tablet. It's an 8-inch tablet, but it runs Aryeh and it runs the Go edition. And we're talking about Android. And I think I'm going to lose Silje now as well. It's like... Because she's clearly an Apple... Yep, there we go. I've got the hand going over the head. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
But this is... So I have a 12-year-old and I'm busy testing. It's a product I can't actually talk about, but this was given to me to use as a companion. It's sub $130. So it's a tablet, 8 inches, sub $130. It runs Aryeh. Now Go, I have talked about Go on the show before. Go is basically light. So any heavy app, it's the light version of it. It won't bring the images down unless you ask it to. It just avoids the process of being cooked. But I'm now using it as a home control system. So I don't know if you've seen Google's just released their Home Hub. So it's the Google Home speaker, but with a screen. I already have that. I use this Alcatel 3T. I don't know what the Google Home Hub is going to cost, but I have a Google Home, and now I have a screen, and my screen goes wherever I want it to. It's not stuck where the home is, because that's actually my bugbear with the home. I was playing with it without the Home Hub. Yeah. Color was good. Speed on the device was good. I was able to stream to a Chromecast. So I could stream to my Apple TV or my Chromecast without dropping anything. In fact, that is the one thing I do have to say about Android versus Apple. This is for you, Aryeh. You can go bazinga. So you would know this, but Aryeh is Android PC and I'm Apple. You can actually turn the tablet off and carry on doing stuff, and the stream still runs. So it does the handshake, and it passes it across to the Chromecast, and the Chromecast takes over. You can't do that on an iPhone. If you're streaming from an iPhone, you have to stay on that.
That'll come next.
Yeah,
in the
and
iPhone.
you'll hear,
and then
and
they'll
there'll be an
say,
announcement.
look at this
Look what we've
innovation.
done. We can do in-screen streaming, where you can move off to another screen.
Yeah.
And then
That's
I'm going to
right.
have Aryeh sitting there going, Android's been doing that for 5 years.
That's right.
But
That's right. Isn't it? Copying is the greatest form of flattery. Something like that.
I've always said that though. Apple doesn't invent stuff; they perfect it.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
They did invent the iPhone and the iPod, so they got a march on.
Yeah, but it wasn't the first MP3 player, and it wasn't the first phone. In fact, let's talk about user interface. They didn't even have SMS.
They didn't
the
even have a
first
screen.
phone didn't have SMS, and the second one didn't have MMS, and they got it wrong twice. But and you're right, the screen was also it was capacitive, not. So yeah, Alcatel 3T. And why I'm mentioning this is that it's not a business device, but if you were using it in a restaurant or using it for low cost or RSVPs at events, like when we had the event in that, for under $130, great little toy, great battery life. I think it was like 4,000 milliamp battery. Screen was good, sound was not bad.
So can you download apps from the Play Store to that?
100%, and use them.
Did you try downloading GetReminded to see how it ran on Go?
I actually didn't. So there's my homework.
There's your homework.
I will do that.
Let us know. Get back to us.
Yeah, and I can obviously sign with the same. I tried one of the heavier apps, so a lot of the augmented reality type things. It was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't the worst experience I've ever had, but it wasn't designed for it. But they don't say it's designed for that. Yeah. They actually say, here's a tablet to give to your kids or to an older person, because it's 8 inches a nice size. It holds in your hand nicely. I used it to read. The backlit was fine. It even has eye protection on as well. It has blue screen filtering tools and parent control apps built into it. So it's designed for a younger user. So, we come into the Christmas period now. $130, you're going away on holiday, you want to take a tablet that you don't worry about, like if it gets lost or stolen or something like that, and it does everything you need to. I ran Netflix on it, it ran. I watched YouTube on it, it ran. So yeah, Alcatel 3T. So that's my screens with a Z. What are your guys' thoughts, knowledge, understanding on extended reality augmented and virtual? Yes? No? Yes? Oh, Silje's going yes. Tim, have we got you...
what's my thoughts on it? It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Okay, so
It's coming.
I found this one segment because I knew you were going to be the guest today and I wasn't sure on what part. Have you seen or have you heard of Kiichi Matsuda?
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Okay, so he is he's the current, I think he's either the creative director or head of design at Leap Motion. That's his claim to fame. But what he released a thing called Hyperreality. It was about a 6-minute video clip that went viral about a year or so ago about when augmented and virtual reality morph and our whole world is just virtual. We actually can't tell the difference anymore between this. So he's actually leaving Leap Motion. He announced on Twitter, as tech people do, I'm leaving. I'm just going to be interested to see. Apparently he's going on his own projects now and he wants to understand more about humanity and people and technology, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee that there's an Apple, Google, Snapchat, Microsoft bid coming his way very soon. But if you haven't seen it, just Google Hyperreality. It's a YouTube link. In fact, I've put it up on the show pages a few times. It's a scary future that we're going into. And, talking about GetReminded, you lose your virtual currency in this video. He just shows how things just go wrong. And then when everything turns off, then what? Now you're seeing boring again. You don't have this hyper state. So that was just a little snippet. But you guys talking about going global. China's, I know I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. I'm going to say Jiangxi. Jiangxi. Jiangxi?
G. Is it X-I-G?
Okay, Jiangxi. The government there have just put $460 million into VR and AR platforms. So, if they're going to spend that kind of money into a dedicated platform, then the size of that market is ridiculous. I mean, we know it's a big market. But the fact that even iPhone is now making a dual SIM phone because their market doesn't support the eSIM technology.
Yeah.
This is definitely where everyone should be looking. I mean, they're our neighbors. They're our trade partners.
Yeah.
But
We can sort of see some opportunities for AI perhaps in the GetReminded world in the future. It's a long way off. One thing we do want to do is somehow hook up with those home, voice activated devices, Home Hub, where you could say, hey Google, set a GetReminded alert for my car rego, 1st of February next year.
Yeah, and then it interfaces
it
into
interfaces with the app, and it's all and you literally can just do it.
So we'll take
voice.
this off air, but we actually have a solution for you already on that,
fantastic.
where you could actually interface. We've already built that tech.
The AI part of it could be that we, and again, I'm sort of blue sky thinking here, is that we could have some AI tech in the back end that says, well, so the user says, this is who I am. You identify yourself. Then the AI can go off and find your mobile phone contract or energy contract or car rego expiry date and pull it back in from another system and put it straight into our system.
Cloud's going to come to play.
And that would just remove a little bit of that, as Celia was describing before, where you're sitting at home ruffling through your paperwork and just looking, or worse still, going through the website of one of your service providers trying to find that expiry date, because believe me, a lot of them try to hide it.
Explain why, Tim. You did tell me why. The legal side of it. I mean, we are dumbing things down here.
Yeah, well, look, the energy market's a good example, and the federal government late last year was making a real loud noise about this, that the energy companies were under no obligation to send you any notice to say that your 12-month plan that you'd signed up for has expired, and therefore they could offer you, the same or a better rate. What they were effectively doing was letting that 12 months roll over, and they would just quietly bump you up to their standard rate, which could have been anywhere between 10 and 20% more than what you were paying.
Dirty dogs.
And so there was a lot of, when we launched GetReminded on the web version late last year, that was the buzz. That was really a big hot topic. And then as you've described before, Brett, the mobile phone a company doesn't need to tell you. They can just start offering you another phone, and et cetera, et cetera. Insurance policies or insurance companies in a similar vein simply send you a new premium notice with an invoice.
You just reminded me I've got to add my gym contract on to get reminded as well. I'm actually going to do it right now because I know that's just going to roll over and I'm not going to get a chance
there's a lot of
there's a lot of other ones too.
There's a lot of reminders that you don't even have to.
You actually should send me a list. I'll publish it. Like, have you put the following in, and maybe those
follow us on Instagram because we're talking about all our categories there and doing a little bit of. We're using the stories to help you a little bit and getting started and how to set and find all your expiry dates. And saying that it's not always about the expiry dates, it's also about just a reminder that you have an ongoing subscription with the service that you're paying on. It could be stuff like Netflix, or you're paying a subscription for an online tool that you're using very intensively for a period of time, but then you forget about it. And I've certainly done that where 5 months down the line, you suddenly realize that you've been paying $50 every month for something that you're not using anymore, and then set a reminder, and you can at least say, okay, I'm going to set a reminder for myself in 3 months, and if I'm still using that, or I'm still watching Netflix at that point, if not, I'll change the subscription, or do whatever.
I agree 100%.
Those things that sneak up on your credit card bill every month, and if you're not looking at it closely and you think, why am I paying for that? And it might be 10, 20, 30
But I mean, it's
month,
not even a case of, and I'm not trying to throw companies under a bus here.
No.
But it's your responsibility as a consumer. You signed up for a good deal. And I'm going to use gym as an example.
Yeah.
In fact, it was, around the street in Marketplace. I've walked past, there was a sign that said 6 weeks free and no joining fee. So that's the sales call. I went in, I did it. Now, in a year's time when that ends, or 2 years, whatever the contract was, if I cancel it, I guarantee I could renegotiate another 6 weeks free and no joining fees. If I don't do anything, I'm just going to carry on paying the $50 a week, whatever it is. Yeah. So it's in my interest to remind myself that I don't need to carry on paying them anymore. It's not their job to say, hey, please stop giving us money.
No.
It's my job to say, stop taking my money. Now I'm going to go to them and say, you can carry on taking my money, but I want another 6 weeks free. Or I'm just going to go to Crunch or whoever it is, Fitness First, or I don't know, anytime, whatever. It just gives me that power. Well done, guys. I mean, you're taking simple things.
We do not want marketing companies, brands, advertisers to just be selling the cheapest possible price to win a customer, and that's not our role. We're not trying to push prices down. Companies need to create an offer and put it out there in the marketplace, an offer that they think is fair and reasonable. And we want to be a channel to reach an audience that must, in the near future, make a purchase decision in their particular category. And that's the unique aspect to Get Reminded, that we'll be able to bring an audience to those advertisers that they cannot otherwise reach.
100%. Well, we've got to the top of the hour. It goes quickly, huh?
It does.
I know, it's amazing. Where do we find you? It's GetReminded.com.
On the web, GetReminded.com. On your favourite app, just search Get Reminded, one word.
All right. And then on the website, there's obviously links to the two stores as well.
Yes, there is links to the two stores.
You mentioned Instagram. Is it Get Reminded?
Yep, the handle is at Reminded.
Can I guess Facebook?
Same.
Get Reminded. And do you have Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, we just started that up the other day.
I love Twitter. Yeah. Aryeh, that's actually something that the two of us do agree on. We love Twitter. We really do. Mahan loves Twitter as well. Aussies don't love Twitter.
No.
There's like 3 million users. Look, 3 million is a lot. Let's be honest. If I got you 3 million users tomorrow for Get Reminded, you'd be happy.
Very.
But brands haven't embraced on this. Tim, when we do some AMR stuff again, let's do some Twitter stuff, man.
Yeah.
Twitter's amazing.
Twitter's great.
It's quick. It's functional. It just... You know why men like it, because it's only 145 characters. Well, now it's 210, but it's quick. Yeah. It's quick. You can get over it. But, so your Twitter also, at Get Reminded, or is there underscores?
It's actually Get Reminded app.
Okay, because there you have to always, always have something funny.
We couldn't quite get
All right, nice.
Yeah.
So we've got it. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming. Well done. Love the app.
Pleasure.
Please do tell me when you hit top 50. because I'd like to be able to go, yeah,
Brett,
called
you'll be
it.
the first to know.
You liar.
Yeah,
I'll be
okay.
about the 4th or 5th, because it'll be the 3
That's
partners,
right, yeah, then-
your spouses,
then-
your significant
thank you.
Okay, so I'll be about the 15th, 20th maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice one. Man, thank you, man. You're very quiet.
Yeah.
Like, mind you, Cam was quiet as well. We'll have to break
Bring
out
you
that
in.
shell. And that's it. So till next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.